Hello guys and welcome back to the Wisdom Therapist. Today we're going to watch an interesting video and I'm going to comment. The title is The Downfall of Modern Podcasts. Let's see what's going on here.
Realised ever since the pandemic that absolutely everyone you've ever met has now got a podcast. And it's not even plugged into anything. But there is a big problem on the horizon that we're already starting to experience. Follow me. Now you're probably like, what were you filming then? Is it too much to ask to keep the camera on me? Now problem number one is if you're like me, I like listening to the Joe Rogan podcast. So when he went over to Spotify, we celebrated it and we were happy to pay that Spotify membership. But then for some reason, although we're paying Spotify the money, he's still putting ads in the podcast. So I'm there in bed listening to an episode, about to fall asleep, and then bam.
This episode is brought to you by Athletic Greens.
You're like, whoa. So you're like, hold on, I'm paying you Spotify so I don't get ads, and now I'm getting ads either way. And they don't even play them at the beginning like Lex Friedman so you can skip through them and pretend you listen to them. They put them, bam. Come on, over here, come on. For many of you, you've probably heard of a podcast called Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett. And congratulations, they just hit 5 million subscribers on YouTube, which is amazing. But there's a lot of controversy between the guests at the moment, and all the guests seem to contradict each other and say different.
One interesting thing is that he's constantly changing. He's constantly changing the frame and he's moving, so it kind of looks more interesting.
But being an expert isn't merely enough, because if you think about it, if two companies are suing each other, both companies will have experts, and both experts in the same field would disagree with each other. Just making someone an expert doesn't mean they're right, or you wouldn't have people on different sides. And there are several components to operating a podcast in 2024 that people aren't thinking about. Podcasts are businesses. They are not vessels or means of getting you free information, although it may feel that way. Places like YouTube will pay you AdSense, but when you start looking at these podcasts as businesses, this is only a fraction, maybe 10 to 20% of what that business is earning is being paid for by Google. One of the main places you will earn money in a podcast is sponsors, and the sponsor will pay depending on the amount of downloads or the amount of views, because you're in front of their brand. Podcasts also use discount codes, but they're not.
As I'm saying is that in today's society, the most valuable thing that you can have is attention. So in the past, it was land. Then in the information age, it was information. Now it's becoming attention. How to grab attention.
Not discount codes, they're commission codes. When you look at Huberman promoting Athletic Greens, if you use this code for the discount, it actually allows Athletic Greens to understand where they're giving their commission to. And if we use Athletic Greens as an example, you're not only looking at $50 commission per sale, but every sale they're on in. So no doubt, a sponsor will not just pay the person to be mentioned, they will then pay the person every time there's commission on their product and sales on their in. So when the likes of Huberman are saying Athletic Greens is really good and it makes them feel so much better, they're not just looking at commission, they're looking at recurring commission. Now, what makes things interesting? So if we look at a company like...
So the question is, the title was, why is it falling, the downfall of modern podcasts? Because in the beginning, Joe Rogan was just some guys getting together to talk about stuff of life. Now, yeah, it's all a business.
Like Huel, Stephen Bartlett is a non-executive director of Huel, which I assume means he has shares in the business. So although I'm sure that Huel paid Diary of a CEO money, every time Stephen Bartlett mentions Huel, he's also inflating the portfolio of a business that he's got shares in. And before I say, that's terrible, I do that every time I tell you about Nutonic, the world's first productivity drinks. Oh, my shares in the business just went up. So far, nothing really is wrong with this picture. The problem starts becoming apparent when you start looking at guests. In the beginning, you want fantastic guests who can arrive and change people's lives and give people so much information and get massive amounts of views and grow your channel to 5 million subscribers. But you will exhaust the amount of great guests very soon. And you can get those guests back on.
So that sounds like a liability.
Or what we're starting to see is you bring on guests not who are known for being factually correct or objective, but that you know will cause controversy, cause a rift between the followers, cause massive amounts of engagement, cause people to be so outraged that they...
So again, it's about attention. Grab the attention of people.
Go and watch the podcast just to see what's factually incorrect in it. And of course, get huge amounts of views. You'll even notice that the thumbnail for the episode is changed every hour on the hour, 12 hours after the podcast is released. to see which thumbnail causes people to click on the most. There is a science to this, and they're choosing titles that are provocative, intriguing, but we're now at the point where people are just looking to piss people off. And if that means you're using misinformation, if it brings you views, and it brings you listens, and it brings you attention, that's not only going to bring you more money from sponsors, it's also going to give you more prospects to sell the business in which you're promoting. And all you need to do is check the comment section of these guests when they're announced. There was even a post by the vegan doctor that I was meant to show you guys here, but I think it's been deleted because the comments were so bad on it. But although you can cause a lot of controversy from the amount of people that are coming to your page, if it boosts your revenue, you will continue to do that habit or endeavor. It's a positive feedback loop. So the biggest issue you see in models like Diary of a CEO is that it's very apparent this is becoming more of a business operation than it is trying to get good quality information to the forefront of the listeners. Let's have a look at some of the comments.
I love cheese.
I'm honestly starting to get tired of all these health food experts. If I followed every advice of the guests on the show, I'd have to change my diet every week. How do you elaborate all of these contradictory statements from all of your different guests? I watch all the episodes and I find it really hard. And so many of the things that people are saying on podcasts are just not true. And a great example of this would be the misinformation that Ben Carpenter put out this week. I'll tell you what, Ben, I'm even going to show people you're real because I think it's really important.
100 normal individuals, 25 in 4 different groups. One group, 1 liter of sugared soda per day for 6 months. One group, 1 liter of diet soda per day for 6 months. One group, 1 liter of milk per day for 6 months. Final group, 1 liter of water per day for 6 months. The 1 liter of soda per day in 6 months gained 10 kilos.
The sugary soda.
The sugary soda.
10 kilos.
The 1 liter of water per day lost 2 kilos. 1 liter of milk per day, no change.
Presumably that was full-fat milk. We're
Yeah,
talking about
full-fat
Euro.
milk. Full-fat milk.
Yeah, they like their full-fat milk.
No change. And finally, the kicker to the whole thing, diet soda. The 1 liter of diet soda. What would you predict their weight would do?
More weight loss than in the water group based on my understanding of the literature.
They gained 2 kilos.
Podcasts talking about science? Love it. Podcasts including references in their show notes? Especially love it. Podcasts that totally misrepresent what the study actually said? Don't love it quite so much. Here is what that study actually showed. Firstly, it was 60 people, not 100. Secondly, it wasn't full-fat milk. Thirdly, most importantly, those incredible sounding numbers, they are absolute bullshit. He claimed soda resulted in 10 kilos of weight gain, 2 kilos from diet soda, no change from milk, 2 kilos weight loss from water. Guess what the study actually showed? No significant body weight change in any group. There was a tiny trend for weight and fat gain in the soda group, but it was not 10 kilograms. It was a measly 1.25 kilograms.
What the
Drinking
heck?
the sugary soda did increase ectopic fat levels, and other studies show they can promote weight and fat gain, even if that wasn't seen in this study. Anyone who even bothers to skim read the abstract will know that what he is saying isn't even close to factually correct. My point is, please be careful which podcasts you trust, even if you happen to like the people behind the microphone.
And the biggest issue is going to be this. Supply and demand are not in a position to serve each other. Because think of it, you've got Joe Rogan, you've got Lex Friedman, you've got Chris Williamson, you've got Stephen Bartlett, you've got all these well-established businesses that are all fighting over a supply of good speakers. And once they've been interviewed on one podcast, their stocks are diluted because people go, well, I listened to Matthew Walker on Joe Rogan, so I'm not going to listen to him on Chris Williamson. So you have all these people fighting for this really small amount of supply of actually good people to have on. And when you can't access those people, you need to start going to the bottom of the bucket and finding people that are divisive, controversial, or that are just going to say things against the status quo, like we just saw in Ben Carpenter's reel. People are going to cherry pick studies, or worse yet, make up their own outcome of the studies, because people at the moment are making a snapshot from these reels that are put out and taking that as evidence. Even this guy in my DMs, you might have to throw in the towel soon. I was like, mate, you've watched one reel. I said it's already been debunked, you nonce, which in English means paedophile. Just keeping you on your toes, dickhead. Then sends me Jason Fung, one of the most notorious charlatans and misinformation. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is something called the confirmation bias. And the confirmation bias is where you go out and seek information that already fits your narrative and you ignore everything else that doesn't. The current state of the world is that people will see something that someone says in 90 seconds. They won't reference studies. They won't reference any literature. They'll just say it with enough conviction that people think it's true. They will then take that information and try and convert people around them. This is causing mass confusion. And the big issue with all of this is when so much information is contradicting, people won't listen to any of it. It's a real shame because podcasts for so many years were such an amazing way for you to bolster your knowledge, but now you're just being drip-fed bullshit.
It
so
is
that other companies
becoming a
can
problem.
profit off of getting more downloads, views, and listens. It's a sad reality of the world, and I don't.
This situation does suck, you know, and he explained it well, so it does make sense. Yeah, guys, have fun and see you next one.